Sam,
Let's check them.
Can you see
I'm
one?
live.
say one thing.
Go on.
Are you still on live?
Yes. Yes. Okay, let me just check the audio. Anything coming through? Check the audio. Yeah, audio's working. Right, I've pinged the Discord. Let me just do another ping to see I'm live now. Alright, let's get set up. Okay, 20-kilometer map should be fine for this. I'm going to spend half the stream just trying to catch up to the tornado. Here's the map. Right, we want it to be quite an interesting chase. Let's bump that all the way up to 6,000 and bump that to 2.5, maybe. All the way up to 600, 300. Then the deviance, let's set that to like 1 degree per second because it's going to be really hard to intercept otherwise. Okay, looks like it'll be quite a varied chase. Got some sub-vortices in there. Okay, this looks like it'll be a good chase. Right, so I'm testing a few things out. The main thing is the tornado pulling the truck around. The other thing is different materials for different surfaces. So I've got different max speed on this grass, and it's a lot more slidey. Ah, my dad's here. Hello, Dad. So we need to get caught up with that. So we've got a faster speed on the road and a slower speed on grass and on dirt roads. So just checking that that's all working properly. So you get like a tyre screech effect when you're driving on concrete, but then on grass we shouldn't get a screech, we should get more of a dull sound effect. Right, we need to catch up with that cell. There's a new subvort system on the radar. So that's not necessarily the radar, that's kind of just like the tornado damage path. So it does simulate subvortices within the damage path, but it's not part of the radar system just yet. One thing I have adjusted is kind of how the winds fall off, so how quickly the winds reduce from the center of the funnel. I have adjusted that, which is why I think the subvortices do look a bit different. I may need to tweak that a bit in a future update. Right, the tornado's all the way there up north. If I turn left, there is a dirt road coming up. I don't know if that's the best way of catching up though. Do in-truck view. I think it sounds a bit more tolerable inside because it's a bit dulled and muffled. Yeah, eventually what I can do is have the subvortice system be rendered in the tornado as well. Right now it just shows in the damage trail. It's not visually shown in the tornadoes, but once I've figured out how to get subvortices in the game, I think that'll look better. Right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to aim for between these hills and try and close some distance down by heading north. Because now the top speed by default is 40 miles an hour on the grass, 60 miles an hour on a dirt road, and then 90 miles an hour on the main roads. Then that's all going to be upgradable as well. Right. So you'll notice I shouldn't have tyres squealing when I'm on a dirt road. We do get it if... So one problem I do have is that it looks at all 4 wheels and what type of surface they're in contact with. And if you don't have at least 3 wheels, it defaults to the skid sound effect. I may need to fix that, because if I put 2 wheels on and 2 wheels off, we'll get that. But then as soon as I'm completely on one surface, so yeah, maybe I need to rethink that logic. Hope I can actually catch this tornado up in time. One thing I think I need to implement quite soon actually is a reset system, so that when your truck flips over you can easily flip it the right way up. I've already got the code in my old version of the game, I'll just have to maybe tweak it slightly for this one. Playing a Assetto Corsa rally is going to come in handy. Yeah, hopefully. So the different surfaces do have different grips as well. So you'll notice if I go on the grass here, if I lock the back wheels up a bit, you'll notice, let's see if I can throw the back end out a bit, more like that. You'll notice there's a lot less grip on the grass compared to the road surface. I'll try and do the same thing on the road. So the grip changes, so grass I think has the least grip, dirt roads is somewhere in between, and then paved roads give you the most grip. So if I try and do the same thing, so I can still kick the back end out of the car, but it'll be hard to tell just from watching, but from the feel of it, it's easier to recover compared to being on the grass. Well, that tornado's growing wide very quickly. Look at that. Right, I have to cut across here. So got quite some distance to go to catch her. So I was actually just watching a video this morning about how to drive on icy roads. Apparently the last thing you want to do is touch the brakes. So as soon as you feel the back end start to slide, see if I can recreate it. So if I can make it slide, but then as soon as you touch the brakes, that's when it's, yeah, tap the brakes there, that's when it becomes hard to control. Because the momentum of the car wants to keep you going forwards, you've locked the wheels up, and then the back end just gets too much momentum behind it, and then you can't control it anymore. The way this map's generated looks like it's very dominated by north-south roads, so getting east is proving really tricky. We'll try and get some intercepts done on this as well, because we do have the data page. So let's try and get those, and then we'll end up at some point accidentally getting caught by the tornado, and we can test that as physics outcome as well. I think I have found the cause of the vegetation disappearing. So you may notice as I transition between tiles, I think it's about to happen here, that there's no vegetation and it doesn't load. That does seem to be with the vegetation renderer I'm using, called Nature Renderer, because if I disable it and use the Unity default renderer, I never get that issue. But then it has quite a heavy performance impact, so need to find some solution where we get good rendering and reliable rendering as well. Right now it's either one or the other. How close is that getting to the edge of the map? It's going to get to the edge of the map before we can start the game, isn't it? Let's try and catch up. Because then we'll get so far and then suddenly you'll just see all the grass and corn and stuff just pop back into view. But it is noticeably harder to catch up with the tornado now that that your speed's limited off-road, which I think is a good thing. If all you have to do is point your car at the tornado and drive, then there's no challenge there. And if there's no challenge, it's not going to be very fun. And it looks awesome. Thank you. I've probably put more time into the visuals of the tornado than any other aspect of the game. Like, I was working on just the rendering of the tornadoes before I even had the concept before the game. Yeah, they've gone through a full rework. It's a full fluid simulation. One thing I do want to kind of get rid of is those bands you can see kind of streaking across. I think that motion is a bit too fast. The challenge I have is that since it's that's a fluid simulation now, is I don't have total control over how it looks. So I need to have a range of parameters which can be randomized, chosen at random how it renders, which give enough variety while still looking good. I think majority of the time it looks. I think even with those streaks, it still doesn't look too bad. Just need to narrow down the range of what's actually acceptable for the game. Right. We're getting close now. We've got a road here which will take us somewhat near. We may only be able to get some EF1, EF? Am I saying EF? I mean F1, F2 samples. So if we look at the fall off, quite a lot further from the tornado, so we're almost in the F1 wind speeds. I think was it 72 miles an hour to be in the F1 wind speed, and we're still a decent distance from the tornado. What we may notice is getting picked up soon. Yep, new stream. I've been wanting to do one. I've been quite tired after work yesterday. So, even though I did want to do one, I just thought I didn't have the energy to do a very engaging one or for very long. So I thought I'll do it tonight when I'm feeling a bit more refreshed. I don't know, I think, is it going to rope out on us? Yeah, this is beyond the map boundaries now. Okay, I reckon what we'll do, let's head back to the bottom left corner of the map, and I'll angle the camera so we can watch that rope out. You can see it weaken now. We'll try and get ahead of the next one. Starting to get light now and turn the truck lights off. Yeah, hopefully the vegetation comes back soon. Don't know what causes that. I do just know it's the problems with nature renderer, because when I disable it, then all the vegetation appears again. There we go. It's almost roped out now. So that's something I've been trying to do recently as well, is track down some more Twister filming locations. So there's a map I've been working on since 2020, since just before the lockdowns and all the COVID stuff happened. I started putting a map together of all the filming locations from Twister, but still 5 years on, there's so much I just haven't been able to find. So I've been looking for the ones all with the F5 in at the end. So I was in contact with one of the location scouts, and he sent me his scouting logbook for Iowa. So there's a lot of places he looked, and one of those roads that are in his logbook, they definitely filmed Twister on, because there's a behind-the-scenes photo. And I've been able to match it up, so I know they definitely filmed on a certain road. But when you try and match it up with what's actually in the movie, the rotoscope around the trees, and because that, it changes what the shape of the tree line looks like, and then it makes it really hard to find, to match it up. Trying to match up something in 2025 with something that was filmed in 1995, so you've got 30 years of difference in the landscape, plus you've got the rotoscoping of the trees, which changes how they look as well. It makes it quite challenging. Which is one of those fun just side projects that I work on whenever I've got a little bit of time. What's interesting is how many places in the film were actually filmed really close to each other, but in the film they're actually meant to be miles apart. So a lot of the F5 scenes are near Twister Hill, which is where the F3 happens, which is quite interesting. And then when they're leaving Wakita and heading to the F3, you suddenly jump from Oklahoma to Iowa in one scene. But one thing that's interesting about the logbook is, so you look at the scouting logbook, and pretty much what he does is drives out to an area, has to take photos of like north, east, south, and west so they can evaluate them. And then if there's property owners on each corner, he has to like go and talk to every property owner to see if they're happy with the property being used, so the front of the property. Gets costs for. They might want to use some like farmland for like parking for like the base camp. Got to get essentially negotiate a price with each person. Get contact details because sometimes the person who they talk to at the house at the time isn't the person who actually owns the property. It's like so much work goes on behind the scenes for a movie. It's just unbelievable. It's like you probably got tens of thousands of man hours for the movie to make a slightly less than 2 hour movie. Alright, so we've got something forming there. It's probably just beyond the camera rendering distance. So the camera renders 8 kilometers into the distance. So we've got, looks like a bit of a stovepipe here. It's getting backlit, which looks quite cool. I've also been able to get some access to some Udemy courses as well. So there's a few Unity things on there. One is about like level design, like placing vegetation, post-processing and stuff. So some good stuff I can learn there, because when it comes to the artistic aspects of the game, other than the tornado rendering, I'm not too sure on how to do color grading and lighting and things like that. So there's a few Udemy courses, so hopefully I can upskill on that, get something that looks a bit better. Let's get the headlights on. Let's just figure out where we need to be. We're here. Oh, this looks like it's tracking due east. So if I head south, let's make sure I've done that right. Head south and try and get in front of it. So once we get to the second cornfield, we're pretty much in the tornado's path. And that gives us time to get set up and decide what type of data it is we want to collect. I think we'll just cycle it for each one, so we'll try and get wind data for the first, and then one of the other types, then temperature, then pressure, then dew point. See how much we can gather on this. Don't know, is that catching up much quicker than I'm thinking? I think we'll have a lot of time, but maybe not. So it looks like VHS effect. Right. Yeah, looks like we're right in the path. Yeah, I think we've got a good candidate for a stream screenshot. Let me just take this. Right, let's get the probe set up. Right, let's press E, so now it's collecting wind data, and we'll stick it here. I don't know why it's still moving. Oh, it's because there's less friction on the grass. Maybe I'll move it over here onto the road. I'll need to fix that. The grass can't be so slippery. Actually, oh, is that the tornado winds? I'm curious, is that the tornado winds it's responding to? Because it shouldn't be. That wasn't the intention. No, it may have just been the grass. I think I need to increase the friction on the grass a bit. It might be a bit too slippery. Okay, so we can see the hills there. Once the funnel gets on the other side of that hill, then it's definitely time to go. Let's close that. I think we'll get another screenshot here. Oh, I didn't actually plan the escape route. I think if we get onto the road, we can head south and get out of the way quite quickly. So we'll just wait till that funnel overtakes that hill, and then we'll escape. Or the wind speed gets up to about 80 miles an hour. Once it gets to about 80 or 100, that's when it starts to really shove the truck around. Of course, that's going to be upgradable as well, like in the first game. You'd upgrade the point that the wind start affecting your truck. 65. Alright, it's almost time to go. 70. Okay, once it gets to 80, I really need to go. Alright, no, I kind of feel like I need to go now. We really do need more rally drivers chasing storms. That'd be terrific. It would be cool to watch, but I kind of feel like at the point you need a rally car driver to escape a tornado, lots of things have gone wrong up to that point. If you're having to off-road and go 150 miles an hour on narrow gravel tracks, I feel like you've made some bad decisions leading up to that. Let's see, did we get any data? Okay, F1 and F2. That's a little bit boring. Come on, we need to get F4, F5 for this to be interesting. Right, the lights on. We'll go pick up the probe. Where is it? We should see the icon pop up in a second. There it is. It'll help us slow down. There we go. Oh no. I think it's going to keep going. Yeah, I do need to fix the physics of that. I have to get in front of it and then... it's just going to keep going. Yeah, okay, right, I'll patch that before I release the update tonight. It's just not stopping. Is it slowing down? I don't know. Right, stop. It's like unintentionally turned into a curling. Like, what's it that? Is it ice curling or something? What's it called? That Canadian sport, I'm assuming. This wasn't. Sorry, this wasn't an intended design of it. Definitely adds to the challenge. Maybe what I can do is share my screen and show some behind the scenes of how the game's developed. And I can patch it live. But yeah, that shouldn't be happening. Alright. Okay. Oh, I know why. I know exactly why that's happening. So there's two systems. So you've got the Unity physics, which is... So I set this material as a test. I set the terrain to a material that has 0 friction. However, the car doesn't use that, which is why I had to write my own system for deciding how much grip and the car tyres have on each surface, which is fine for when I'm driving, but all the other items in Unity don't have that. So what I need to do is set this physics material to have just some friction. So that's what the problem is. So what I'll do, I think it's going to be unplayable, so let me change my streaming settings and I'll give you all a sneak peek of what it looks like in the editor. So yeah, let's do that quickly. Let's just close that. Where's Streamlabs? Okay. So screen capture, let me change this. So instead of window, let's make it screen 1. So you can see that now. You're seeing some of the source code there. Don't worry, this isn't going to turn into a technical thing. I'm just going to patch that quickly. I'll show you exactly what the issue was. So if I go to any one of these, so let's go to, where is it? Scenes. scene prefabs, and then one of these like bend. Here, I'll show you here. So this is what one tile looks like in the terrain. And then each of these goes into the editor and is what's generated and spawned at runtime. So we have a material here which is set to grass. But here, dynamic friction, static friction, and bounciness is all set to 0. So let me just set this and this to 1. And let me just check the others while I'm at it. Off-road track we'll also use. Yeah, no, that's fine. It's got some... yeah, I think that's all we need to do. I think I'd add highs and lows to the game. In terms of like pressure, I'd have to think how that... It's doable. I'd have to think how that would impact things like the cape and the helicity. Kind of the goal of the cape and helicity was kind of like a simplified forecasting. So there's some forecasting there, but you don't have to be a weather expert. You just kind of have to look at where the big numbers overlap. So I could add that in, but realism isn't the primary goal. It's been destroyed with sudden access. Yeah, so what I need to do... So I think that's the only thing I need to change. Is there anything else I need to change while I'm in the editor? Let me have a think. I don't think so. So let's just do a new build. Oh, rain and other precipitation types. Yeah, that's definitely planned. That was all implemented in the 2023 version. So yeah, that'll definitely be happening for this version as well. I just need to write the controller logic for that. Essentially, I've already got a weather system, like an asset which I've already bought from the Unity Assets store, which takes care of all those effects. What I need to do is just control them based on where you are underneath the cell. And then my goal is as well to kind of mask the tornado funnels from a distance with the precipitation. Just because, I don't know if you've noticed, but when you're at a really far distance, the tornadoes kind of render over the cells a slight bit. That doesn't look quite right. So another thing that I plan is to not actually render the tornadoes. So you'll have a performance increase and then just render some rain from a distance. And as you get closer, the rain will kind of become more transparent and then you'll see the tornado funnel under it. Right, customize chase. All right, looks like we're ready to go again. So I'll generate the map. Yeah, because that game would be unplayable, the last one we were doing, if the probe's just sliding around everywhere. The weather forecast. Yeah, that's actually planned as well. So I'll show you what the idea is. So right now, so this is kind of like your sandbox mode. So you can customize, you choose what the min and max cape is. You choose what the helicity is. What I'd do instead... I'd say that's like 400. Maybe 400's a bit high. 300. What you do instead is you generate your map, but then you'd have maybe 5 forecasts, which would all be generated randomly with different amounts of cape and helicity. So rather than seeing all these controls, you'd just be presented with like Monday, like a small thumbnail, or maybe you can click through each day. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And you've got to choose out of the 5 days which one you want to chase. So you've got kind of like a random selection and you choose one day. So there might be 2 days which look really good and you're not quite sure which to choose, which is kind of the dilemma which you have in real life if you're chasing times limited. Let me set the deviance to 2 degrees per second. Let's just preview the chase, see what it's like. Yeah, so we've got some sub-vortices in there. I do think I need to change the logic there because it's not looking how I originally had it planned. So 20, significant. This is using the Outbreak Intensity score by Thomas Grzoulis, if that's how you pronounce it. Apologies. If not, it's quite a simple formula. It's the strength of the tornado is mapped onto a number of points. So if I remember, I think F1 EF1 is 2 points. F2 is 5. I might be... Actually, I don't think it rates until F2. I think maybe F2 is 2 points. I don't think F1s or EF1s count. So F2 is 2 points, F3 is 5, F4 is 10, and F5 is 15. and then you just sum all the tornadoes up, which happen over a period of time. I think the game simulates like 30 minutes of gameplay or something like that. And then you just sum it up, and then whatever the total of that score is, that gets mapped onto extreme. He has his own scale, so you've got like your super outbreaks, which I think are like over 250. We've got our first tornado already. So you got super outbreaks, then like things like high, moderate, weak, or something like that. I did want to actually get his book for Christmas, the Significant Tornadoes book, but then I didn't realise how much it was, and then he doesn't ship to the UK, he only ships within the US, so then I'd have to use another service he'd ship to them and then they'd ship to the UK, and by the time that all that's sorted and import tax and stuff, it would be well over £200, as I can't justify that on a book. It's a very good book, but I just can't justify that sort of cost. Don't know why he doesn't just release like a Kindle version of it or something. He'd still sell it for a pretty high price. Ground Scouring and Storm Cozy and Wall Clouds. Yes, so all that's planned as well. So since we've got this tornado damage trail, when I load in each tile, I can know where on the terrain different intensity winds have happened, so I can load in different textures or remove vegetation. So you'll get into an area, so if it's gone through a cornfield, like there'll be a central bit where the corn's been stripped out, or you'll see ground scouring over the grass. I can change the textures. That's fairly straightforward in Unity. One thing I just have to be careful with is if you change the terrain in the editor, it can actually permanently save it. So if I play test and an F5 goes across the map and tears out half the vegetation, it can actually save that information. So I've got to be very careful with how I play test that. In the actual build, it's fine that won't happen, but in the editor, if you're not careful, it can. Right, we're catching up much more quickly on this one. So let's plan our approach. I think we need to go east here, get ahead of it, and then head north. There's a good north option coming up. You can see me driving over the corn there. We've improved that a bit since the last stream. But yeah, I think it's always a good sign when people suggest features which I've got planned to come in the pipeline. It means I'm planning the right things that people would like to see. Okay, let's Bob's Road this and just fly through the corn. People can recreate scenes from Twister with this, which is kind of the intent. A Wall Clouds plan? Yes, like most Storm Structure. I may not have actually put a official card on the Trello board, but yeah, I can adjust the tornado funnel to have a wall cloud. Just what I need to figure out is how, again, I need to figure out how do you randomize the shape and size of the wall cloud based on how the tornado's formed. So wall clouds, tail clouds, inflow jets are all planned. Right, let me just be a bit careful here because I'm getting quite close to the funnel. Headlight time. Then it adjust the headlights, the point pretty low down. Oh no, not into me at all. The whole point I do these streams is I like to interact with people, get ideas, see what people like and dislike about the game. The whole point is to share ideas. Right, let's get over this hill and then I think we'll be pretty close to it. Careful. One thing one idea I have had, I haven't mentioned this, I've just had it in my head, is that in the 2023 version of this, if you crashed too hard, you'd die, you'd lose all your money, and you'd be spawned somewhere else on the map. I'm thinking that might be a bit too annoying. Oh no, don't say I've rolled. Come on, I can save it, I can save it. One idea I was having, it's kind of like if you've played like Sonic, where if you've collected a certain number of rings and you get hit by an enemy, instead of just dying immediately, the rings kind of scatter everywhere. So I was thinking, maybe not having the scattering, but if at each impact you lose some percentage of the samples you've already taken. So there's a negative consequence of being careless and getting picked up by the tornado and being smashed around. But it doesn't just immediately like either end your game or remove all the samples and move you halfway across the map, because it's just I don't think that's fun. I may be wrong. Maybe people like the challenge of having permadeath. Maybe it just needs to be an option, like I had in the other one, where you either turn death off altogether, have death if you got lifted up by the tornado, or death if you impacted something too hard. Will lakes and rivers be a feature? Yes, there will be. So I did buy an asset quite a while back called RAM. It sounds like River Automatic Material, River Auto Material, and it can be used for lakes as well. So yeah, I can have rivers or lakes with a bridge over it, so you can kind of recreate the core lake scene from Twister. I think I'm too close. Yeah, I'm going to get lofted. Yeah. Whoa. Okay, I think the tornado might have a hold of me. Let's see if I can escape. Reverse. Yeah, I'm a bit too close. Yeah, so lakes, rivers, forests, towns, even them, like, sort of like a freeway, it's a freeway, I'm trying to remember which one it is. The one where it's like concrete, elevated, 4 lanes, type of thing, so you can quickly get across the map. All that's planned. Oh, I think this might actually be is this a good place to deploy? No, but it is a good route to get ahead of the tornado. So if we go take the next left and then head north, so left and then north, if we can get up around here somewhere, we can go for an intercept, because now we can run parallel to it. One option I have is, if you drive into water, is to hydrolock the engine and just have you sit and wait for a minute while it repairs. Multiplayer, yes, so I do eventually want to add multiplayer, but it's a pretty fundamental shift in how the game has to be implemented. So because of that, I want to get the single player version absolutely solid first, and then I can start working on multiplayer, because once I start a multiplayer, I kind of have to keep going until it's finished. I can't really be then going back and adding stuff into the single player game. So once the single player is solid, yeah, then I can add multiplayer. So I guess the idea would be the host would have the screen which I've just shown, where you generate your map and the cape and the helicity, and you create the scenario, and then once you host that, people will join that same scenario, and then like the position of the tornado, how it's rendered, will be shared across all users. I'm making it sound easy, but it's going to be quite a tricky thing to implement. But once it's working, I think it'll like make it more fun by hopefully a factor of at least 10. Right. Let's figure out where we need to be. So about here, I think. Don't know how much time we're going to have to do this. Like in the teardown tornado mods, I'll have to watch some of the videos. So I'm not completely familiar with. I guess it's teardown the game. Is that the game where you just have like an entire, like you'll have like an entire city generated and everything's destructible? Whoa, I'm gonna have to move quickly here. Sorry, one sec. Let me just concentrate on getting this deployed. Let's deploy it on the grass and just check that that bug's fixed. Let's collect wind data, and it's 70 miles an hour already. Let's escape. Alright, let's have a look. Unless, am I in the path now? I don't know if I'm escaping into the path of the tornado. I might be El Renoing. So I don't know what tornado effects mean specifically. The buildings and things are going to be destructible. And if I can, I might add some destructible trees as well so they can get uprooted. Oh look, I think I placed that quite well. Look, bang in the middle. So let's have a look at the data. F4, maybe if we're looking... Oh yes, we're getting F5, so... If this was career mode and I'd implemented that yet, we'd be getting a lot of money for that. Oops, sorry, let's just take a screenshot quickly. There we go. I'll do a highlights reel after the stream, just people who haven't seen it, they can at least see some of the screenshots from it. So one thing you'll see as well, if I zoom out here, if I put Cape and Helicity on, oops. Oh, once dropped out for a second. One sec, I don't know if people can hear me. Let's check Streamlabs. What just happened is my AirPods that I was using ran out battery, so I've switched from a right headphone to my left. So if somebody just let me know in the chat if you can hear me, make sure that I haven't lost you all with switching my AirPods out. Look at that motion, I'm quite happy with that. One thing I want to change in VHS is this saturation where it's all gone completely black. Kind of ruins the effect a bit. I think I need to fix that. You can hear me. Oh, brilliant, thank you. What about tornado effects that play the display on the screen when you're close to the tornado? So, one of the things I do want to have is the camera shake. I did have it in the 2023 version of the game, but I'm not too happy with how it was implemented. I think I can do a better job this time around. But yeah, what I want to have is like, ideally have the camera shake the more the tornado gets, the closer the tornado gets to you. And then also have things like dust and debris, like, so have dust kick up, and then have just random bits of debris, like planks of wood and stuff, just blow past you. Just like you do if you watch any video of like a close-up tornado impact, you'll see you get like this foggy effect of just strong winds, and the moisture, the dust. You get that, and then you'll get this like random stuff just flying past, because obviously anything that's not bolted down gets thrown. So yeah, I can do that. There is also something, I forget what it's called. It's like VFX graph or something like that in Unity. So I can use that to render lots of debris. The only challenge is that I can't really make it physics compatible, so like it won't bang into the car, but it will like fly past you. But yeah, there's a lot of effects. One thing I benefit from, I'll have to see if this is on Udemy, is like a VFX course. Learn a bit better how I can kind of spice up the effects as the tornado gets closer, so it feels like you're there. More vegetation? Yeah, so there's a ton of... So I bought lots of different landscape packs. The developer's called Nature Manufacture. So I've got all sorts of trees and bushes and shrubs and grasses and like landscape textures for like meadows, mountains, and all sorts of different things. So I've got far more assets available than what's currently in the game. But yeah, as I add more, excuse me, just had a hiccup there. As I add more tiles, I can add more varied vegetation as well. Well, next thing I want to do as well is make the vegetation actually respond to the tornado winds. So you'll see it slightly moves in the wind. If I just stop right now, you'll see there's a slight wave to it in the wind. Obviously, I want that to be stronger the closer you are to a tornado. Let's see if we can intercept this before it goes. So you can see where the cape and share is weaker, the tornado weakens, and where you had this big patch of white where the cape was higher, and the more stronger cross-hatching, the stronger the tornado was. So the idea of that is just it's a kind of simplified version of forecasting, just so there's some skill involved in deciding which tornado to intercept. More vehicles. Yes, so ideally, I'm getting a bit close here. I want to make that moddable. So I'll just provide the yellow truck, and at some point I may pay for somebody to model like a second gen red truck from a certain movie without naming brand names. Provide those as part of the base game, but then the community was really good at modding in the last version of the game. So, which I just let myself get picked up by the tornado here. So, kind of rely on the community for adding the more variety of vehicles. So let's see, do we get picked? We're starting to get pushed around a bit. I'll try my best to fight, but yeah, we got lifted. Okay, as it set us back down right in its path, but we're right behind it here. Probably picked up a few samples there, actually. Yeah. So we can use the brute force approach, just driving directly into the tornado since death isn't implemented. In terms of vehicles as well, something that's been suggested a few times as a drone, which I do want to implement. But I guess that's not a vehicle because you'll still have your normal vehicle in the game, and then the drone will be like an additional option you can use for like taking photos and sampling winds. So the drill bit kind of depends on how the tornadoes are randomized. So we could get a drill bit already in the game if when it spawns it's really narrow. So the way it works is there's a ratio of how wide the tornado can be versus how strong it is. So maybe I need to tweak that a bit. So strong tornadoes can be a bit narrower. But yeah, if you just have the perfect combination of a strong tornado and it happens to be randomized, so that's going to be a narrow tornado, you will get sort of the drill bit effect. I may need to do some tweaking in terms of VFX. I'm about to go off the edge of the map. Which direction am I going? Well, that must be west, which means this way must be south. Make the car roll too. Yeah, that is something I want to add. Maybe I can add that on stream as well. Just add a slight torque, like twisting motion, just a random one. Yeah, because it doesn't seem. I guess if a car gets lofted, it doesn't. Where it's getting pulled from doesn't necessarily have to perfectly match up with its center of gravity, so that you will have some sort of torque motion on it in some direction. Right, we need to get to. So we're about to go through our night storm chasing mode here. I just need to figure out which way I'm going. So this is the cornfield. So we need to head southwest. So I'm heading south. And then you turn a little bit more to the right. There we go. So we just need to try and make it across the map in time for the next tornado. Let's have a look. Right, we've got the moon coming up there. And the sun going down. Got to give props to the whoever created this Enviro Sky and Weather. It looks amazing in the game. Storm cores. So you're talking about like hail cores? Yeah, so that was in the 2023 version, so I just need to port some of that logic over into the 2025 version. So yeah, what the plan is where the cell is sample the height, so how high the cloud is at that point. Use that to decide whether it's rain or hail and what intensity and size it is. And then your weather's then responding to however the cell happens to be generated. Let's see where I'm at. Yeah, I think I need to turn a little bit to the left. So this is where it gets really challenging trying to chase at night. Because it's much harder to judge your distance to the tornado, because it's just kind of like an outline silhouette. So that's tornado number 1, and then we'll do tornado number 2 next. Maybe I need to get onto a road because it's going to take all day for doing this at 40 miles an hour. Yeah, I'll turn right onto this road, and then we'll just keep trying to head right, like keep heading west and south whenever there's an option. You see that snap back there? It's because the roads have a lot of grip just to make handling a bit easier on the road. If I try that same thing here, it's a bit harder to recover. Right. There's another road just there, so let's get on there. Oh, I think have we got the first signs of a cell forming? Am I just seeing things? Well, some people to produce multiple tornadoes and sustain multiple tornadoes at once. So the way it's currently implemented is it's 1 tornado per storm. It doesn't have to be. That was kind of like an arbitrary choice I made just when I happened to be developing it. But yeah, it's definitely a possibility. One thing I'll add along with like things like multi-vortex tornadoes is having satellite tornadoes as well. So I guess that's technically multiple tornadoes. You even have a mini game where you have a multi-vortex tornado with a bunch of satellites, and your goal is just to get from one side of the map to the other without getting hit by one of the suction vortices. But I think that'll be far in the future. I guess these are lots of nice to haves, which I'm suggesting. Yeah, be more realistic if the same cell can put down multiple tornadoes. It can even maybe have some anticyclonic tornadoes as well. So I think it tends to be the way the RFD interacts with the winds, is you tend to get like one strong predominant cyclonic tornado and then one anticyclonic one. So I could mix in things like that. So it's definitely doable. I don't think I'm planning that in the immediate future. So right now I'm focusing on everything to get like the core gameplay, and then I can start adding the nice things on top, like multiple tornadoes, and a few more of the visual effects. But it's definitely all planned, like something I want to get to eventually. But I kind of have to prioritize my time each night, because I only get a couple of hours each night to work on the game. So I need to prioritize what's going to help the game progress forward and what's the best use of time to get that done. So we just got that silhouette there. Landspouts and Dust Devils, they're not really planned. I just don't think they'd add much in terms of gameplay. Like, I know there'd be a little bit more variety, but in terms of gameplay, I don't know how much that would actually add. Like, whether you're intercepting a landspout or tornado, the kind of gameplay mechanics are very similar. So probably not just yet. Let's see. So this one, right, we want to start heading west. This looks a lot like the F5 at the end of Twister, just the way it's randomly been generated. So one thing, I can't remember if I mentioned it, but Habib Zargapur is the guy who pretty much invented the tornado visual effects for Twister. He did message me through LinkedIn once, and he did offer to have a call just to talk about like visual effects design of tornadoes. However, I had a bunch of stuff going on in my life at the time, made that a bit tricky to schedule, and then he started working on a project as well at the same time, so it never happened. Maybe I can politely ask if he'd be still up for that call, even though he offered it about a year and a half ago. Yeah, that one just happens to look a lot like the F5 from Twister. It's a little bit lighter than the one in Twister, but in terms of the shape and the texturing on it, I feel like it looks quite similar. More storm types. So, yeah, I was talking about this on the last stream about squall lines and bow echoes and different things. I'm still not sure, just because whether the tornado is produced from like the tail end of a squall line or part of like a bow echo doesn't really change how you approach it in the game. So I'm trying to focus on sort of the gameplay features. So I'm not ruling it out, but I'm talking in the immediate future, like the next 6 months to a year. Things like that aren't planned yet, but things like that are nice to have on top of it. So if I can get the fundamentals of the game finished first, let me just pay attention where I'm driving here. If I can get the fundamentals finished first, so like we've got main menu, things like a career that you can save and load, performance settings, different options, different gameplay mechanics, then you can add all these nice to haves on top. But my goal is to get like a solid playable game in the next 3 to 6 months, hopefully, and then polish that over the next 6 to 12 months. I don't think we're going to have enough time to... That's going to be way too close to intercept, isn't it? Is it? Or is it? Maybe, maybe not. Oh, you're the guy from the last stream. But, yeah, apologies. I focus on reading the messages, and I forget who said what on each stream. So apologies for that. Yeah, I think you asked that on the last stream. Yeah, it's a good idea, and I think a lot of people do want to see like a variety of different types of weather. But I guess the focus of this isn't necessarily to be a weather simulator. I want to get a fun game with like a fun gameplay loop that people enjoy, and then we can add like nice things on top of that. It's like the icing on the cake, so to speak. Okay, 111 miles per hour. I don't know if I'm driving near the tornado, if the tornado's driving me at this point. I wonder if I can thread the needle between the tornado funnel. I think it might have a hold of me. Let's try. Okay, not good, not good, not good. Let's use the brake and the handbrake together. You can hear that high gear. It's the what's it called again? The small gear that reverses. What we've got here: 200 miles, 210, 220, 230. So I think, yeah, we're almost in F5 territory there. Yeah, it's the reverse gear here, and that's what that high-pitched squeal is. If you ever throw a car in reverse and you hear that, there's like a tiny gear between your regular gears in your gearbox, which allows the direction to reverse. That's what you can hear there. That's what that little squeal is. Nice little attention to detail from the guy who did the vehicle physics. I'm not sure where I am in relation to the tornado now. I'm behind it. Let's get a different data type and drive close to the tornado. Okay, we're collecting pressure data now, I believe. Super bolts and ball lightning. Ball lightning could be interesting because it's another thing. It does add to the gameplay because it's something you have to avoid. It just float after you, and if it touches you, it kills you. Or deletes half your samples, corrupts the data on your laptop. So that could be something interesting to add. Burrito hunting simulator. So one thing I do want to mention, talk about weird simulators. I bought Goat Simulator for the iPhone when it first came out, and my wife laughed at me. And then just the other week, we were in a toy shop, and there's like Goat Simulator 2 or 3 or something for the Nintendo Switch. So now I was laughing, it's actually gone mainstream. How many samples did we get there? Quite a few there. Flew around outside his childhood home. Someone passed through a window and then slammed into the fridge and blew a few fuses. Yeah, that's the interesting thing. So it's one of those things where there's no... I am fascinated by ball lightning, actually, because... Oh, is it starting to rope out now? Because there's no real video evidence for it. However, whenever you read accounts, whether it's from like the 1800s or just different people describing their experiences, they all seem to describe something very similar, of it like phasing through walls or windows. Tends to be attracted towards people, which I guess the human body is like a big capacitor, isn't it? I need to drive the right way to intercept the next storm. Am I coming back close to the map? No, I need to turn around. And then hitting something metallic or conductive, and then kind of starting fires, or in your case, blowing a fuse. So it's interesting. I feel like the accounts are too consistent for it to be completely made up. But it's just interesting for something which does seem quite common that there's no video evidence for it. Super bolt. So what's the definition of a super bolt? Is that like an anvil crawler, or like from anvil to ground lightning? Burrito instead of tornado to avoid demonetization. Yeah, one thing that spoils YouTube, I feel like, is that people can't just talk freely. There's a lot of, I have to say like unalived instead of died because I'll get censored and demonetized. I don't know. YouTube sometimes feels like that overbearing, overprotective parent that nobody needs or ask for. So they have to say burrito instead of tornado. I don't know, there's just some idiot who's like copyrighted or patented the word tornado when anybody uses it to sue. Right, I can't remember, is this the old cell spot fading out? I think it is. So I don't know what a super bolt is, but I would like to customize the lightning. Going back to your question about the super bolt lightning. So if you look, let's see if I can catch some lightning. You'll see the shape of it isn't quite right, so what I may need to do... And also the lighting isn't quite realistic, like it should really overexpose the camera if you're looking in that direction. This is what it is. It's a really rare lightning type where it's stronger than other lightning. I wonder if I've witnessed that, because we had a pretty decent thunderstorm here in Newcastle 5, 6, 7 years ago. And I do remember there was one specific bolt where it strobed constantly for maybe 2 or 3 seconds, really bright and a much louder clap of thunder. But, you know, your average lightning strike, it's a fraction of a second. This strobed constantly for a good few seconds before stopping, and I didn't see it. I saw like the light like lighting up my back garden bed. I happened to be in the kitchen at the time. I didn't see the actual bolt, and I wish I did. Yeah, I wonder if that was something close. Stuck as a meme. Yeah, sometimes the YouTube sort of text-to-speech isn't massively accurate. Can't figure out the definition of a super. It's one of those really long lightning bolts. Because I do know you can get, like, is it negative bolts, which are rare, and I assume a lot stronger. It looks like this. I need to fix this sort of rendering in the corner of the camera issue. But yeah, so sorry, going back to the lightning, you'll see it doesn't render quite right. Like it looks like a scribble almost, rather than like that, like sort of noisy, jagged lightning shape. So I do want to customize the lightning, so I may need to override the lightning system in the game. Add my own logic to how it's rendered, and then if I can do that, if I can customize just how they look, then I can add things like super bolts to it. Oh yeah, I love it when thunder sets off car alarms. That's how you know you've got a proper storm. Even better if you can feel the thunder go through your chest. Kind of like when you stand here, if you had like a fireworks display and you can feel the explosions going through your chest, if thunder can do that. you know you got a good storm. Adds to the experience. Right, hopefully this next one won't go immediately off the map. Where is it? Okay, this one's heading north. It looks like it's tilting north-northeast. So if we can get in front, I need to go to the left. Sometimes you have it as well, where like the lightning and the thunder, like it's so close, they're almost simultaneous. Like there's barely any noticeable delay between them, and that's really cool when that happens. How do you know what a super bolt is? Yeah, I haven't heard the term super bolt before. I've heard like anvil crawler, negative CGs, and things like that, but I've never heard super bolt. Oh, you've seen an antenna get hit. I've never been close enough to see something get hit by lightning. I guess that's the next thing on my bucket list. So I've managed to photograph lightning. That was quite tricky. Took a lot of waiting, a lot of attempts to get there. Next thing is I see lightning actually hit something up close. I guess there's the slight risk of death if you're in one of those situations, which is a bit of a negative. But I guess if you're watching from somewhere safe from inside, because there's a lot of pylons, like electricity pylons, near where I live, so there's always a chance of seeing one of those get hit during a thunderstorm. Yeah, apparently, statistically speaking, I'm more likely to see a tornado in the UK than in the US. Because if you take number of tornadoes and then, or take the land mass and divide it by the number of tornadoes, there's actually higher tornado density in the UK. That's because the UK is so small, not because we have that many tornadoes. I do want to go storm chasing, so now I've got my own car. Can potentially go storm chasing if it happens to be outside of work hours. So there's a chance of me doing UK storm chasing. I just don't think there's that much demand for UK storm chasing channels because the most you're really going to see is a load of lightning and maybe a little bit of hail, possibly a funnel cloud. But the chance of seeing a tornado is really rare, and even if you do, it's likely going to be quite weak and unorganised. Right, we'll use the tornado winds to help us get ahead of the tornado, and then we'll try and deploy. So I'll try and steer away. So we'll just use the winds to pull us into the path, if we can. Just like a speed boost while we're on the grass. As the Super Bolt's only mentioned once on Wikipedia. It seems like the type of thing Jake Swaggle would do on Swaggle Studios. Right, let's see where I'm still not. So I can run parallel to it here. It's hard to tell if I'm running parallel or running right to its path. I think I'm running parallel. Oh, lights on. Whoa. It gets harder to drive nearer the tornado. Because if you imagine 90-mile-an-hour winds pulling on a truck, that wouldn't be easy to control. Like my tiny 1-litre 3-cylinder car struggles in like 40-mile-an-hour winds. So I can't imagine like 90, 100, 150-mile-an-hour winds. It wouldn't stand a chance. Right, I think we can get in the pack. We're going to have to go off-road. Only shortly, actually, if we can go off-road, get to this road, and then turn left and quickly get deployed. So the only data we haven't got yet is dew point temperature. Yeah, I could possibly add stuck in the mud mechanics if people wanted them. I just have to get the frequency right, because if it happens too often, it'll be annoying. If it never happens, then there's no point adding that feature. Oh no, 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 no. Right. I think I'm just going to have to deploy here on the grass. Also, a trick for the people who haven't seen, if you hold the R key down while you're holding this, you can rotate it to place it better. But yeah, 105 mile an hour winds, time for us to get out of here. It's struggling. I've 120 mile an hour winds outside the vehicle. And I'm barely managing. Oh no, look, it's turned directly towards me. These are the types of situations in real life which get people killed. Oh, I've got my foot to the floor. Uh-oh, here we go. Hydroplaning. Ooh, haven't thought of that. I could actually, because what I could do is just essentially have, the logic's quite simple. You just wait a random amount of time, check if the car's on a wet road, so maybe I need to remember where, check if you're in precipitation. So first thing, are you in precipitation? If you are, wait a random amount of time and then just set the friction on the car tyres to 0 for like 5 or 10 seconds and then stop. So you never know when that's going to happen. So if it happens when you're about to turn a corner, you can lose control. Right, let's go pick up the probe. It almost was in the F5 core there. Did we get the data? Oh, I forgot to change the data type. Right, let's go get the probe. We should be safely behind the tornado now. I deployed on the grass, didn't I? Go into this, I'm right next to it. Where is it? Let's zoom all the way in. Driving towards it, apparently. Oh yeah, there it is. You can see the little probe icon. I'll definitely need to make that bigger. Raise it above the probe a bit more and then make it bigger. I want to add photos back into the game. Here's another stream screenshot. Literally Hercules in a super pickup truck is safety even a consideration. I guess it depends whether... Oh, okay, I've just found a new bug. Accidentally entered the vehicle while holding the probe. I need to make sure that can't happen, so while you're holding the probe, you can't enter the vehicle. Right, let's see, have we got a chance of catching up with it again before it goes off the map? Oh yeah, plenty of time, right. One challenge is that the trail covers the roads completely. Maybe I need a toggle switch for the tornado trails as well. It looks like it's turning more easterly, so if I can just get a good east option to get ahead of it again and then shoot north. Put a beacon locator triangle. Yeah, maybe make it emit sound as well. I think I may have licensed the sound, so that Dorothy sound is just a generic car alarm sound effect, which I may have already licensed. I licensed a bunch of sounds a while back. I have to have a check through my files, see if I've got it, because I can make it emit the Dorothy sound effect just as an additional thing. So you can look for it on the map, you can see the icon and then the sound, like add 3D sound, so if you're facing the direction where it's coming from, this adds an additional thing to help you find it. Okay, we want to start thinking about going north now. The Doppler on wheels, so I don't know what the legality is of like real famous vehicles. Like I could have a radar on a truck with wheels. I probably wouldn't be able to call it the Dow. And one thing I did want to have is a portable Doppler on the player truck. If you look through my YouTube channel, either that or the Discord, I did implement like a scanning Doppler, so it will spin through 360 degrees and increase in elevation. It'll then, when it hits wherever the tornado is simulated, it's like, that's beautiful. Let's screenshot that. Oh, come on, screenshot, man. There we go. Add that to the screenshots of the screen. It would scan through the volume and give you a velocity radar based on your distance to the tornado, your position, and the elevation. I implemented all that logic and then kind of just never used it again. So it's there to be used. So yeah, they'll at least be scanning velocity data from the vehicle that you're driving. And then if somebody happens to add a truck with radar on the Steam workshop, then people can use it. I think we're going for another intercept here, sunset intercept. See there, all the vegetation just disappeared again. It's the nature renderer causing that. Also, thank you for offer to synthesize sounds and physical modeling. Funny square triangle wave. Yeah, if you're able to put some sounds together, definitely try them out in the game and figure out the mechanics of how the sound effects are applied based on your distance from the probe, which I think I got a bit too close here. See, that's the thing about chasing at night. It's really hard to, like, am I just a few tens of feet away? Or have I got like half a mile? You really lose like your depth perception at nighttime in the game, which adds to the hazard. And also a Polaroid camera. Yeah, I need to add the photo mechanic back into the game, because I keep wanting to left click as well when I'm in situations like this. Let's screenshot that as well, actually. But then, obviously, that's just muscle memory from testing the old game. It doesn't do anything. So yeah, I wonder if there's something I can do to create like a Polaroid effect. Alright, we're on a dirt road here. Right. We try and get a bit further north. Look how fast the turn is moving relative to us. It's still gaining on us quite quickly. Right. I'm just going to go for the intercept now. Looks like it's turning towards us. So, right. A little bit further. I need to get to about here where the mouse is. Okay, and stop. Right, let's deploy. Ah, I think I've stopped too close. I'm getting pulled into the funnel again. Right, let's just... This isn't good. The tornado's pretty much filling the screen. Struggling to make any sort of ground away from the... Now I'm just in escape mode. I think I'm far too close to actually deploy. Got to go around the hills though. No, I think it's... Has it got me? Maybe not yet. Right, if it can set me down, I think I can still escape. Like, there's literally just, you can't even see the tornado. It's just a wall of black that's just right there. Right, I think we're off the ground now. Yeah, the road's not that small. Oh, this is going to land on our wheels. Come on. Push down. Right. Did I change the data type yet? Yeah, let's get some dew point samples. I think I'll have to make this the last tornado, so we'll need to actually publish the update as well. Let's just dew point data. There we go. let's say it's strengthening again right before it goes off the map. Right, we're just going to have to drive into it again. So I don't think we're going to have time to get in front and deploy properly before it ropes out. Because once it hits the end of the map, it's going to start roping out. Yeah, TIV didn't exist back then, but I'm not keeping the 90s as a strict rule, hence like the drone. I don't think we had, at least not the drones we have today. So I'm not ruling out, I'm kind of using 90s to kind of guide the aesthetic, and maybe if I had some sort of storyline to it, and being based in the 90s. But I'm not just going to strictly limit to the technology that was only available in between 1990 and 2000. There you go, we're about to get lofted again. Probably slammed into some hills. Can't actually figure out what's going on right now. It's that chaotic. Well, the TIV, so I wouldn't be able to call it a TIV. However, if I add vehicle modding to the game and somebody creates something which resembles the TIV and adds it to the Steam Workshop, I can't stop them from doing that. I just have to be careful what I add as a developer. Since I don't want copyright claims, lawsuits and things like that, because it would pretty much instantly shut down the game. But if I can have like an armoured storm chase vehicle which doesn't use copyrighted designs or trademarked designs, then yeah, we could definitely add the TIV to it. Or not the TIV, a TIV-like vehicle without, while still respecting copyright and other people's like design rights and things. Okay, it's roping out. So I think I'll have to make that the last intercept. Let's see how we did in terms of data. But I think for Outbreak, I think that they have to pay licensing to get the Dominator. It's very academic, and yeah, there's a lot of sharing of information, but when it comes to, I guess I'd be profiting off the design of somebody else's vehicle. That's where things can get a bit messy, and licensing and agreements need to get put in place. And this game isn't so big that I can afford like a big commercial license just for one vehicle in the game. So yeah, let's see how we did in terms of data. So in terms of career, if this was one session in the game and we priced up each of these data types, you can make decent progress each time you played the game. Because one thing that did kind of kill Outbreak for me was the grind to get the Dominator. It was very repetitive. Because you make barely any money at all with every chase. You'd do like an hour, 90-minute chase, and maybe earn, what was it, like $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, and you'd have to earn $1 million. That wasn't fun. I want people to feel like they're constantly making progress and constantly have something new to work towards. So, yeah, I think this would be a pretty decent chase if we didn't die. In terms of the career mode, I just need to add more of the career features. So you've noticed that upgrades button's disabled, doesn't do anything yet. So next thing is going to be adding prices to these buttons to sell them, and yeah, then having upgrades so that you can upgrade your vehicle, so you can armor it, add ballast weights, improve the engine, acceleration, top speed and all that, different surfaces. So I think I'll call that a night. Thank you everyone for joining. I've enjoyed the interaction. Yeah, what I'll do is I'll set this update live in the next few minutes. I'll have to type up a big thing on Steam so that everybody's aware of the update. But yeah, I'll sign out now, and I'll see you all in a few minutes on the Discord.